Scorpio, welcome. This is February 2025, and it's for Scorpio, Sun, Moon, and Rising. Some big shifts are going on to do with love, creativity, and romance. Some energy is really picking up a huge amount of steam and momentum when it comes to foreign lands, shores, and travel, legal matters, and lawsuits going your way, I hope, as well as some really good energy going on to do with your longer range chunky money. And this can look like a good boost to your finances. And we have two planets going direct, Jupiter and Mars, which means your life is about to move forward in certain ways that have been stalled out for a few months. So we're going to break it down and look at the month in a chronological order. I'll be showing you the chart. And if you're new to my channel, you are so welcome here. My name is Lori Lothian. I'm using the Western Tropical Zodiac, whole sign houses, fixed stars, and minor asteroids are all a part of the wheelhouse of helping you navigate your life using astrology as a timing tool. And yet, that said, let's remember this is a general astrology reading. This is not an individual natal chart session. Some of these things will be accurate. Some of them may not hit the mark. So keep that in mind. All right. So, and by the way, my name, I did the name. I do have a few things to share with you. Maybe you're interested in my Venus class. It's coming up, how to time your life with this 6-week Venus retrograde. The class starts on March 1st. It's so affordable. Underneath the description box, you'll find a kind of an early bird discount wait list when I open the doors. And when I say affordable, I mean like $40 or something. So I haven't set a final price, but it'll be very cheap. So check it below. I'm recording on January 20th. You're getting this a few days later. So I'm not sure what this final price will be, but it'll be a fun class. And you'll understand why you need to go to that class or why you want to come to that course with me live over 6 weeks when you see your chart. We'll talk about that. It's big for you guys. Are you having babies? Are you getting married? Are you getting a new romance going? Are you building a business and it's going to take off? You got a lot going on here in February. All right. Let's take a look at your story, Scorpio. Now, let's get to the brass tacks here. And just ignore the ascendant. I need to put it there so that I don't lose the ascendant. But anyway, you can listen for your sun sign. That'll be about career and purpose. You can listen to your moon, home, and how you feel about life. Home sign, all about your home matters and your feelings about things. You can listen to your rising sign because it often connects to almost everything about you. It's usually, for most people, quite accurate. It's your avatar in the simulation. It's the character you're here to play, your rising sign. Okay. So Scorpios, first of all, I just want to start with you by reminding you that Mars is the Lord of your sign as he is the Lord of the sign of Aries. It's not Pluto. That's a modern invention. And Mars is moving direct this month. And that's important because he's been retrograding now since, oh my God, December the 6th. And that means for someone who's Mars ruled, things have stalled out for you. And the stall out has been about career matters and travel matters, or visas and passports and career, or career and reputation and learning, or these are the 10th house and 9th house matters. And what I want you to know is that there's going to be some major momentum in your life that you begin to feel the third week of February. And that's so important to both Aries and Scorpios of this world, because you go forward. And all this retrograde Mars and all this back and forth, this started to happen, in September. Mars and October was in your 9th house of God. And this is what travel, foreign land, foreign shores, education, being on purpose, dharma. It's also a luck house, father figures. All that energy was there, September and October. And then Mars went into Leo for a few degrees, and then he backed out of there. And by the time we got to January 6th, he's back in Cancer through till mid-April. Why this is important, just so you know, is it hasn't happened since 1977, September to June of 1978. And most of you probably don't remember what happened back then. So it's got a unique rarity to it, this long duration Leo, Cancer back and forth. So let's get going and break the month into a chronological order. So take a pen and paper, please, and write it down. I don't know how else to do this for you. So just write it down or re-listen to the video. Keep it handy. So the beginning of the month, we see some energy coming through the sky from Venus. Venus is the goddess of love and beauty and art and fertility, especially for you. And I'm going to bring us right back in time a bit. I should be back a couple of days. I want you to know that you're in a long-standing fertility transit. Okay? You could get pregnant. How come I can't get her to go backwards? I just have to cue the chart a little more precisely. I'm back. We're going to get this to work. So basically, Venus is moving through your fifth house, which is love, sex, romance, creativity, entrepreneurship, baby making, pleasure, leisure, hobbies, and talents. And this is good for you, but it's not just one thing. She's back and forth between your sixth house of work and this house of creative energy and procreative energy in a way that we haven't seen since 2017. And what I think I want to point out here is that you might have been feeling like your muse, your inspiration, your creativity, your romance has been constricted or sort of stuck starting around January 20th. And then on February 2nd, 3rd, Venus breaks free of stuck because she was enclosed between two difficult planets or bodies of the sky, Saturn and the North Node. So I wonder if you're going to feel around the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th, hallelujah, I'm free. I'm having fun. I'm having romance, leisure travel, and my creativity and my muse is back. Or I'm pregnant, or my partner's pregnant. Ooh, and all of that is a nice feeling for you. And Venus will, as she breaks free, come into a conjunction to Neptune as well. In fact, there'll be a triple conjunction on the 2nd between Neptune and the North Node of destiny and Venus. If you are a single Scorpio looking for love, there's a lot of that possibility of meeting the one, the twin flame, the soulmate, or something like that, especially the first 4 or 5 days of February. Now, also, are you working on a creative project, a book, an album, some artistic endeavor? And if you are, breakthroughs and break frees and less constriction and more positivity and enjoyment are coming through your sky. But this constriction comes back again the first 7 days of April and on the 24th of April. So it's going to return to you, and it's going to be a time when the joy, fun, play, pleasure might be a little bit compromised, where you have to be more realistic, sober-minded. You might have to contain it with Saturn, and there's destined change here for you. A lot of you Scorpios are going to have destined change in your love life and your romance and your fertility and in your creativity and procreativity, because the North Node will be here for 18 months. I covered this in January's video. It's the new nodal axis of destined change in the fifth house, not seen since mid 2006 to mid 2008. So something big is trying to change in your world here. And when Venus is in the fifth house, she's in the house of her joy. And this is a strong place for her. And it's a strong feel for you to have Venus and her joy exalted in your fifth house. You might write your masterpiece book. You might create your masterpiece bit of music. You might have the best romantic new love story ever. Or if you're in a relationship, get pregnant with your partner or enhance the romance into another level. That's the things I'm seeing here during this month of February. Mercury will trine Jupiter, positive news, good news, happy news, bounteous news. Jupiter is retrograde during the trine, and he's going to head forward as the trine happens. What does that mean? Well, on the 3rd, the trine is happening, and then on the 4th, Jupiter goes direct. It's something like this. Mercury is going to talk to Jupiter: home, property, land, real estate, contracts, rental agreements, buying and selling, legacy wealth, family of origin money, father figures giving you money. And there's some kind of news or information coming through your sky around February 3rd to do with financial wellness and home environment, private life matters, including things to do with family of origin money as well, especially with the sun down here, Mercury, sun, Pluto. Great grandpa Joe is passing, and you just find out you're going to be in the inheritance or something like that. And that energy is there for you. For some of you, otherwise, it's just something like, oh my God, we got a great contract for a new home, a great mortgage deal. We got a great lease renewal package. We got some kind of stuff to do with home and financial goodness and news and expansion and growth. Certainly does bode well if you want to list your property for sale or for rent, if you can do that, or buy a property. Or good news is your offer is accepted on a home that you want to buy, that kind of stuff. Or you got a great mortgage deal that no one else has ever heard of. Something good is happening like that around February 3rd and 4th. And then on February 5th to the 6th, Venus and Pluto engage in a very auspicious little sextile together. Money and love and power are all entwined. And Venus is in the house of rental properties and work. A golden opportunity for a job situation that involves a lot of homework opportunity, power and wealth connected to land, property, and real estate and rental property. Now, if you wanted a pet all of your life and you haven't gotten one, Venus will bring you a very powerful pet, a very deep and a profound pet, Venus Pluto pet, whatever that looks like, probably a Great Dane or one of those hounds of hell or something, but it's a pretty one. But there's pets that could happen here as well. Venus Pluto in a sextile like this is a gorgeous energy for wealth, but it could be wealth through inheritances or wealth through real estate or wealth through some kind of debt repayment that money used to have or someone owes you comes back to you. Again, we feel the vibe. February 6th to the 8th, February 6th as well through to the 12th, much longer time frame overlapping is Mars trine Saturn. Well, Mars and Saturn trining each other Mars and Saturn in any ways, hard work, work hard, perseverance and discipline, actions that are realistic and sober-minded, decisions that are realistic and sober-minded, but positive and fortuitous. And Mars is up in your ninth house. And of course, Saturn is in the house of creativity and romance, leisure, romantic getaway trip abroad with someone you love, and you're having a blast, for example. But Mars is indeed retrograde, indicating you've been to this place before. So it's a return to a foreign place, but you've been in that place before, and you might be having just a very passionate, fun journey abroad with somebody else that you're in a romance with. But usually Mars likes to take actions and decisions, and he is in a house that's connected to dharma or purpose, and the fifth house is your creative talents and your gifts. And you might be really working on a project that's a creative project, an essay, a book publishing deal. I don't know, you know your life. Do you have any hobbies, any creative projects that you do, or are you an entrepreneur? Then you're maybe really working hard on a project that would become very successful internationally, or is connected to an alignment with your purpose. You've got endurance and you've got stamina. It's around creativity and travel and romance and adventure. In the middle of that web of time, when everything I just described is happening with Mars, February 9th, Mercury will co-join the sun. Now, Mercury co-joins the sun once every 6 times a year, but not always in this part of your sky. Mercury is news or information connected to father figures or about your career, and it's connected to home and career, or father figures, and news or information flashing through your sky around the 8th, 9th, or 10th, probably the 9th, it's exact, of February. And it is in a flow to Jupiter. So it's overall good. It's generally positive, right? But it may involve finances, and it may involve money from your family of origin transferred to you in some way, or very surprising, positive, and exciting news maybe to do with property, land, home, and real estate matters connected to buying, selling, those kinds of things. Cue it for us on the 9th. There we go. Here we are. So there's Mercury in the heart of the sun at 20 degrees, 21 degrees, 20 degrees. It's on, the 9th, and it's going to indicate with a flow to Jupiter in a general premise that it's going to bring some wealth to you, especially with Pluto flowing to Jupiter. But it is connected to, who knows, again, land, property, real estate, home, maybe work, because the sun involves your work house, and some kind of job that really up levels you, like a major sign-on bonus or sign-on package or something like that, with a lot of perks and benefits. Their energy is often very flashpoint. So look to the 9th for phone calls, emails, and text messages about what this story is. Okay. And with Jupiter now direct, as I mentioned, no longer retrograde, I want you to go back in time. I want you to think about May 25th of 2024. And I want you to think about up to October 9th, Jupiter was direct in your 8th house, buying and selling real estate, marketing, selling, money coming from tax rebates, insurance payouts, investment monies, royalty income, ad income. Things are going well on the chunky money, non-earned income, shared resources, money with your partner, and you are going well in love and business. And then on October 9th, there's a retrogradation. Jupiter goes backwards, and that means he's going back to redo stuff, and he's deepening the boundary. He's going back over territory he traveled in July and into early September. And as he goes backwards over all this time and over all this ground, you're getting like a slingshot effect, like a deepening of the drawing the bow and arrow back for success, because he's coming into direct motion, as I mentioned, he did on February 4th. And so I want to say that things that get stalled out, like say July, August into September before October 9th, you were trying to get something going, to buy a house, sell a house, rent a property, receive an inheritance, get some greater career success from home or something like that. This stuff can now go big. This is like your go big or go home on that front. So now you go back and do it a second time, February 4th through to June the 9th. And you see a lot of that momentum. It's an ideal month to make an offer on a home, a rental property, rent a property, buy a property, sell a property, or receive money from your family of origin. And even just ask for it. Hey, dad or mom, especially dad, can I have a loan? But otherwise, then it could actually be an inheritance. Okay. And it could be a grandparent too, or anyone up the line. Now we're moving on to the full moon in Leo. It's 24 degrees of Leo, and it's going to be big and bright and bold in your 10th house of career. And by the way, a full moon can take up to 6 months to unfold. And we will have Mars back here in mid-April to mid-June. So that's going to encompass the full moon afterglow. So full moon, fullness, completion, fulfillment. Some of you may change your job. Some of you may come into a greater level of ascendancy, power, and brilliance in your work. You'll see that power and brilliance really be truly obvious, I think, mid-April to mid-June. But the moon is planting a full seed here, a full ripening. But go back to September, because a new moon was planted here in the career and reputation space as well. And what kind of new beginnings did you have in your reputation or career? Like my son got married in the summer. My new reputation and social standing is I'm married. But there's going to be other things too. Like you might have made some kind of new project, new plan, new idea about your work, and you planted a seed and maybe it didn't grow yet very big. And now kaboom, it's a beanstalk of success. Well, that's a possibility. The new moon, the full moon, will unfold its information with a surprise because it squares Uranus here. And it could mean you have no idea. It's a bit of a left fielder and it may take you by hopefully delightful surprise as this moon here is talking to Uranus here, and there's a bit of a jolt. Now, your career and connections to contracts and agreements, surprise, and fulfillment, or your marriage partner, they're having some kind of jolt and surprise in their life. And you're like, what? Wow, that's interesting news. Are we pregnant? North Node of Fate in that conception house. We'll see what happens. Give that full moon a month after the moon on the 12th for you to see some of the lay of its land and what it's really for. Now, there's a void of time, a lull in the sky, nothing much is happening. And that's very positive because we're not being pushed and pulled and grabbed and manipulated by the planets, which they kind of do. You know, they kind of get us all caught up in the traumas and all the sweet. We like it when it's good, right? Like a Jupiter-Venus story, but sometimes it's not always that good. And so there's like no cell phone reception. They're in a void to the planetary influences. And when? Well, between about the 13th of February to the 19th. For those 6 days, you can kind of do your own thing without having to negotiate with planetary imprints. And you are a Mars-ruled being. And so Mars is in your 9th house. And this is about your travel and your lawsuits and winning in court and your dharmic choices and actions to be aligned with purpose and your book publishing deals and your podcasting and publishing and things that you want to publish in the world and put out there as long form bodies of information for others. But I would say that Mars up here, because Mars is going to be retrograde. Until February 23rd. I want you to time travel. I want you to go back to things that were going on in October. Because it was the October timeframe where Mars is traveling over similar territory that he traveled back then. And so what kinds of things were happening in October around 9th house matters? Courts, legal matters, passports, visas, travel, pilgrimages, higher education, human resources departments, things to do with being on purpose, your spiritual faith and belief and what gives you your life meaning, right? So something about this energy of the void means that Mars wants you to work through these questions, basically of what's in alignment with purpose at the deepest level that brings me joy, enjoyment, and satisfaction because of the trine to Saturn. And you'll have a nice window of empty space in which to kind of go, let me ponder that, or let me discover that, or let me understand that. All right, let's keep going. When the action starts picking up again, well, that's what we're going to talk about. So I want to talk about Mercury on the 14th of the month because he's going to move into another sign. And, you know, Venus is already over here in your work house, right? She entered early on February 3rd, spends the whole month in the work house. So you're trying to find enjoyment in your work. satisfaction in your work and heal the wound about work where you feel like you may be in the wrong career job, you don't like your job, you feel like you don't connect to you don't belong, you don't fit in with your work crew, you don't fit in with your office colleagues, you don't fit in the workspace at all. She's going to try to help heal that here because she's co-present with Chiron. But that's kind of February. She's trying to find the fun in the work, basically. She's trying to find the joy spark in her work. And you might be a little bit full of, gusto and vim and vigor to be very good at marketing, selling during this window of time, if that's a part of your profession. During the month of February, she highlights your publicity, promotion, and charm. But anyway, what I wanted to mention was Mercury moves on Valentine's Day, February 14th. He'll move into the next sign, and that is Pisces. And he'll be there until the end of this month, in fact, till March the 3rd. And therefore, now he's all involved in your fifth house. Are you going to communicate, write, speak, promote something to do with creative projects, entrepreneurial businesses? It's a really good time for marketing, something like putting a promotion ramp out for something, or putting something into the online world that you wish to share with the world that you've done creatively. It's also good for romance if you're single, but sort of. Right now with Venus in your sixth house, you're likely to find an office romance if you're single. So I'm not too sure about that. Mercury is not good with the details here, and you can't really fine tune things. So be cautious regarding things that you might be doing creatively that you haven't looked at more deeply. But he's don't sign a creative artistic deal without looking at the fine print. Mercury here is dreamy, fantastical, spiritually motivated, and very intuitive. And he's flowing with Neptune here. So there's a lot of your creative, imaginal, superpowered creativity it's really highlighted for the entire month of February. I mean, February 14th to March the 3rd. February 14th to March the 3rd. March the 3rd. Yeah. And what else can I tell you? We'll want to notice that Mercury is information, and he's heading down the pipeline into some surprising and shocking information. And since I'm already talking about him, I'll just tell it to you now. He's going to sextile Uranus on February 27th. And that could be a really nice time for a surprise. I'm pregnant. Surprise, honey, we're pregnant. Surprise. You've got the contract or the deal or the negotiation, and it worked, and you've got your book deal, or you got your art deal, or you got your, something of a deal to do with art, creativity, entrepreneurial stuff surprisingly coming through. So that's exciting. So I just jumped ahead a little for you. Sorry about that, but it just happened. Mercury will square Jupiter, though, before that on the 20th of February, after the void. It's the first thing after the void. Now, Mercury squaring Jupiter is something to do with good news or positive developments that are quite fortunate. And yet there's a caveat here. It's not any old Mercury square Jupiter by any means. There is a mutual reception between Mercury and Jupiter. I can't wait to talk about this on my channel for the big videos I do. And there's also, so they're helping each other. They're working on team each other. They're really gonna, I'll help you, you help me. They got a quid pro quo going. And it's also that Mercury stations direct. As Mercury applies to Jupiter, Jupiter stations direct. So February 20th, 21st, there's like a new bit of information that leads to great momentum and great surge of directionality regarding your eighth house. So many things to do with the eighth house. I don't even know where to begin. Secrets, hidden things, occult mysteries and magic, stock investments, business partner monies, marital shared resources, alimony, spousal support, royalty income, ad income, chunks of money, tax rebates, government support checks. Okay, that chunky money is going to be amplified in a super exciting and positive way. And that's going to happen with Jupiter going direct, giving you new financial momentum through to June the 9th from information, news, and developments that may surprise you a bit, right? Because Mercury is sextile Uranus, but surprise you in a good way. And so it looks to me like you're going to have some bounty on the financial front emerging from a creative project, an entrepreneurial project, or again, we're back to fertility stories, right? Because Jupiter is in a hidden house, it's possible your partner didn't tell you that she was pregnant. And now she's going to tell you because she's past, the first trimester. That would be another weird way that could work out. And that's what I've got for you. And then we move into February 25th. Mercury is hitting a wall as he hits Saturn, but it's actually a good wall to hit because Saturn wants you to be realistic, sober-minded, and perseverant in your creativity, in your romantic life. And Mercury is the messenger of the gods. When this happens on the day of it happening, kind of the 25th, give or take a day or two before, you might find there's some kind of breakdown in communication or a difficult conversation with a child or with a lover or about a creative project. But if that happens, it's still good. This all trines your ascendant or your sun or moon in Scorpio, and you don't mind this much at all. In fact, you're probably quite excited, especially because as this occurs, the moon in Scorpio in your sign also flows to this part of the sky, and Mars is flowing to it. We get a nice, beautiful mini trine forming here. And it feels like a flow up, glow up, but with a bit of a constriction. Now, sometimes with Mercury and Saturn, it's like we need to look at the fine print and we need to structure this carefully. For example, it doesn't have to be a hardship. The moon in Scorpio, though, could indicate a pregnancy as well. So again, we're saying, there's a lot of different ways this can work out. We shall see. We shall see. You'll notice that the moon is also moving into a flow with a node of fate in the north node in your fifth house here. So holy man, does that look good on you? Some kind of fated destined increase of positive developments in love and romance and creativity and entrepreneurship. So it's a lovely vibe for you. Even with detrimented planets, it's still a good vibe. I already told you about the surprise, good news, interesting news, surprising news, maybe coming from a contract, a business partner, a client, or your partner on February 27th. We end the month with a new moon. The new moon is in Pisces. Pisces is at your fifth house. Now you're going to see what this pile up is making all of us astrologers. It's called a stellium. Gasp, right? We have these rarely, like we have often a stellium can occur. Like we had an Aquarius stellium in 2022, I think, winter, but they're not that common. And this is quite a big deal. A stellium. There is a lot going on here, to say the very least, right? Holy man. So why is your fifth house so busy as a new moon plants a new seed? You could have a beginning of something new over the 6 months and up to a month that follows to do with a new romance, a new love story emerging, a new baby coming, a new book project or creative projects being conceived here, a new situation that's good for one of your children. And even something as simple as one of your children gets accepted to a major college that they wanted to go to, and that's exciting for them. And it's surprising for everybody, but it's positive, especially with Mars traveling in the ninth house of higher education, a child going off to college, a surprise regarding one of your children. If you're an adult, maybe a grandchild will come out of this as well, through one of your existing children. But this new moon is a stellium, and it's got like the soulmate planet in there, Neptune. And a new moon has 6 months to unfold, and we'll have Venus back in Pisces again, right? So this is not done in one and done. This could inception wise, like conceive a 6-month window of a powerful fertility and pregnancy transit, a powerful time of maybe being a grandparent, a powerful time of maybe having a major creative project succeed and go the distance, of conception of a major time of romantic new love coming in your life, if I didn't say that already. So let me know down the line. Usually you see the evidence of a moon just beforehand. And this is why, if you want to take my Venus class, it's a good idea. She hasn't star pointed in this way in your work house, right? Which is going to help change the work environment for you. She'll star point there in March, but she's also retrograding back into your fifth house and spending a significant time here in April. And there's a huge amount of matters to do with the fifth house you need to pay attention to. That there's a malefic enclosure here as well. I told you, can you bust free, break free? But she's back, as I said, in April. And you want to be aware of how to deal with these energies and play with them and use them. And so join me on the Venus class. I don't have a sales page out yet, and I'm not that motivated like to sell anything these days. But if you want to join me, it's going to be super affordable, like $40 or something. And it's a 6-week live class. I'm going for a low price for more people to enjoy this Venus retrograde story. Thanks for listening. I hope this is useful for you, Scorpio. This was recorded today on Monday the 20th. My Patreon community will get this early access ad free. And if you always want to get ad free content from me for $5 a month, every video you see on YouTube, Patreon gets it before you without the ad. Sometimes I get it a week before, sometimes I get it a day before. It depends on how fast I am in my publishing schedule and how busy I've been with other things. Thanks for listening. I appreciate you. See you on more videos, I hope. Take care.